sometime, but I do want us as a nation to wake up. This is a war. This is a war crime. This is gang stalking gone crazy. Like human experimentation. I am not quite sure when this happened to me. I do believe it's been quite some time that it's happened to me. However, I'm not going to keep trying to figure out why, where, and when. I'm just trying to educate people. This is for educational purposes. People are being tormented. I have been like back again. I'm going to say this again. Back in 2019, I started a divorce 2 years prior to that with my ex-husband, who I loved dearly. We were together for 20 years. We have a 24-now-year-old son together. I have a 35-year-old daughter that hasn't talked to me in 10 years. Why? I have no clue. So they defamed me. They started out with false allegations, false police reports. It was like it was just so bizarre. Like I have had everybody completely stop talking to me in the matter of weeks. I know like 300 people. I worked at a hospital for 15 years as an ER tech. And from 2001 to 2015, I got married in 2012 October to now my husband that I divorced in October of 2019. I defaulted on the divorce because while going through the divorce, I had my son put restraining order on me for what? There were no police reports, no character witnesses, no nothing. And the judge granted them that. And he was a minor. Then I had orders of protection, and he still came to see his mom. He still came over. He still took a shower after school, him and his friends. If he was so scared to put a restraining order on me, then why was he coming over to talk to his mom? Take a shower, you know? Then it's such a story. I just don't know where to begin. I've said it before on Roy UCAPs. I also have a bunch of YouTubes, as you know, and since 2020, I've been doing this. Some of them are very sporadic. Some of them I'm very upset. I'm sobbing. Of course, this is traumatizing. Traumatizing. Oh, someone's trying to ask me a question. Sure, you can ask me a question, JT Valentine. This stream is about targeted individuals. It's about targeting that's been going on, like Havana syndrome. I have been targeted, what you call a targeted individual, human experimentation. I don't know what it is, but however, I have studied this. I've studied everything from Project Bluebird, Monarch, Manicurean Candidate, Dr. Robert Duncan. I read over 100 books on all different types of things, human experimentation, nefarious crimes. There's multiple reasons why you're in this. You can be for nefarious, you can be human experimentation. Your body can also be hacked. I have 11 biomedical implants in my person. I do not know how they got there. I did not consent to anything. My frequencies are admitted as mostly military, FAA, Department of Energy, federal law enforcement, Department of Homeland Security, covert military tracking. I have all the paperwork. Thank you for all the voice. My view on life, I view life every day. I am a daughter of the King. That is one of my ministries. Me and about 26 of us girls. I live in a small town. We have our own ministry. We do retreats. I go to Grindstone Women's Retreat here in Minnesota. That's coming up. However, I won't be able to attend because I'm having right hip surgery. I'm now on disability because I have an implant. It's a long story. I'm not going to go there. True Savior. I truly believe that. He has answered many, many of my prayers. We all deserve life. We make our choices. And if you make bad choices, well, then you're going to have to face your consequences for that, right? But I didn't make any bad choices. And I got false allegations from my sheriff's department of the town that I used to live in, the county that I used to live in. I got orders of protection put against me for 2 years against my 17-year-old son and my husband that I loved dearly, because it was a toxic relationship. And all I did was fight, and I just had to get away. They sent me a ticket in the mail. This is one of the false allegations. They sent me a ticket in the mail after I left my home because I was being tormented and went to stay in a friend's camper. They sent me a ticket in the mail saying that I violated my order of protection. I'm like, wait a minute. One, that's kind of weird. That's a felony charge. That's like huge. One, it never occurred. Obviously, if they're sending me a ticket in the mail. So they sent me a ticket in the mail saying I violated my order of protection, and that is not true. It was thrown out of court. You don't send someone a ticket in the mail saying you violated your order of protection, and I still have that ticket. I keep everything. But when you're in this, if you want to call it a program, if you want to call it an experiment, I don't know that program is what I call it. They falsely accuse you of stuff. They want to traumatize you so bad. When you have, they tried to get me to, they knew if they put the orders of protections, my ex-husband was sleeping with my girlfriend, one of my dearest friends, go figure, and they're still together today. That was how many years ago, 2017, 18? They put the orders of protections on me because there was no need for them. And they thought, okay, if we put these orders of protections on her against her husband and her son, which my husband signed them and created them, I don't know why, I don't know, I've never talked to him, because they knew I would be hysterical. I'm being bombarded by something that I barely knew what it was. I didn't know the technology. I didn't know what I know now 5-6 years later, because they thought, oh, she's going to violate them. Her son and her husband, all of a sudden, we're going to put these on her because she didn't do anything wrong. I didn't. They put them on me because they wanted me. They thought that I would violate it. However, I'm a lot smarter than that. I have a voice to skull program, which I still have today, to try to drive me crazy. My voice to skull program with people telling me, come over here, it's your brother, we're going to help you. So I'm driving all over 3 different counties looking like a freak because I didn't know what voice to skull program was. But however, I stayed kind of calm and I never got in trouble. The orders of protections, like I was saying, were put on me because somebody, somehow, whoever who's all involved in this, thought for sure I would violate them because my husband and my son were the 2 most important things, because I hadn't talked to my daughter in 10 years. She's important to me as well, but things to me. So 2 years, I did not violate them. I didn't even call my son's grandmother to check on my son because that is a third party. That's a violation. You can't even. So I didn't, and then I ended up homeless, and everybody stopped talking to me. Every time I tried to call somebody to ask for help, like, can you come help me shovel my driveway? It's, like thick. Nobody ever responded. However, whoever is part of this, I don't want to name anybody or any entities, but they thought for sure that I would violate my order of protection, which I did not. So they sent me a ticket in the mail stating that, and this is in the state of Minnesota, Kennebec County, that I violated my order of protection, that my ex-husband, I wasn't even in Mora, I was down in Circle Pines being driven mad that I would violate my orders of protections. For sure they thought I would. I did not, so they made it up. You do not get a ticket, again, like I'm saying, you do not get a ticket in the mail stating that you violated your order of protection. It was thrown out of court. I spit in my 17-year-old son's face because he are out of the driveway at my house because they were burning all of my personal belongings and the divorce wasn't even final yet. And this was before the orders of protections were even put on, of course. And he was going to push me out of the driveway and all this stuff. And so I spit in my son's face. He was calling me an F and this and an F and that. And I'm like, okay, I didn't hit him. Well, come to find out, he called the police when I left the house and I got arrested and thrown in jail for 3 days because it was child abuse, a fear of endangerment to a minor child. I'm like, are you kidding me? Okay, these sheriffs know me. They know who I am. The hospital that I worked at for 15 years knows who I am. When I went in there hysterical, scared for my life because I was being chased, they still let me go knowing that when they asked the question, are you safe at home? And I said, no. They didn't send a social worker down. They didn't let me out of the triage room or nothing. So I know I'm rambling and this really isn't making much sense. This is I just sporadically just turned this on. It wasn't my plan today to do a update. However, we need to wake up as a nation. We need to it's really not about getting anybody in trouble. And I know some of you don't agree with me about that. This is about, for one, trying to get myself healthy. And that's what I'm trying to do. I went to Reno. Like I said, I had my scan done on April 25th of 2025 this year. I have 11 biomedical implants in my person. I have no idea how they got there. However, my mom and my sister my mother's passed. They did used to work for Medtronic. They work for Boston Scientific and SciMed. It's just so bizarre. But what we need to do is we need to educate people. I know we need to try to shut this down. Okay, we can, but we also need to educate people. The only way we're going to get this shut down is if we keep educating people. I have called and left emails with WCCO. I have contacted radio stations. I have contacted journalists now because that's what's going to get this out. I'm like, I have a story that you may want to tell. Seriously, we can call our senators. We can go to our police stations. We can call. If you start going to the radio stations, if you try to find some journalists, little small town papers, eventually it's going to get out. You're going to have people start questioning things. So my friend told me, I'm on disability right now. I'm waiting for my right hip surgery. I have bone-to-bone hip. I'm 57 years old. I'm very active. And all of a sudden, in the last 3 or 4 years, I've been debilitated. That's where they torture a lot. It's called torture. But I do have an implant in my right hip. Yes, I'm kind of nervous about getting my surgery done here in November, December, because I'm scared that if that implant comes out with my hip, is it going to cause some kind of different effect in my person? It's scary. I did send a copy of my RF report with my radio frequencies blacked out for purposes. It's my business to know. To my uncle, who I was very close to growing up as a child. Me and my cousin were a week apart, and I was always up there in the summers. And he hasn't even responded back. So I asked him if he knows anything about this in our family, and I got no word. I have been staying in contact kind of with my stepsister who used to work for the United States Embassy in Kuwait for 2 years. She lives in the same county I do now, and I've sent her I have ringing in my ears. Do you think maybe this is mental illness? I'm like, no, that's what they want you to think. Have you even looked at targetedjustice.com? Have you even looked at my Nexus and listened to what these people are saying? Nope. I guess she doesn't really understand. She can't wrap her head around it. Well, I find that kind of odd. But if anybody, I don't know how I can get in contact with anybody. I don't like putting my phone number on here. Half the time I don't get my phone calls. They block certain calls coming in from certain people. They block certain text messages from certain people. This whatever programmer, handler, whatever you want to call it, I'm being blocked from certain people on Facebook. I am being blocked from certain people on YouTube. This is just for educational purposes. Like I was saying yesterday, I'm like, listen, let's per se that all of a sudden the sheriff of your county or the sheriff of the state troopers, what if this started happening to their little girl or to them or to their wife or to their husband? I'm talking like, then would they want to be like, oh, wait a minute, we need to do something. We need to do something, period. I'm trying to get people to understand that this is real. This is like gang stalking on heroin. It's insane. It's nefarious. It's malicious. It's attempted murder. It is a slow kill program. I have children out there, and they don't talk to me. Why? I have no idea. Sporadically, I'll get a, hey, mom, at 1:30 in the morning, like I did 2 weeks ago from my son. 3 weeks prior to that, I got a text message from my daughter saying, am I still blocked? I'm like, you never were. And I haven't heard from them since. Now I'm sitting home. It's really boring. I can't do anything because I have bone-to-bone right hip. I'm 57. I love to snowmobile. I love to fish. I was just up at the Lake of the Woods. That's my second home. I love to four-wheel. I love to snowmobile. I love to garden. I'm very active. And I can't even barely walk around. I mean, I went out and pulled a few weeds the other day because I had a burst of energy. And boy, did I pay for that. There's a lot of people that have a lot of platforms, and I watch a lot of platforms. Do I believe everything they're saying? I have tried to reach out to my family. I have a large family, and who've all been like taken away from me. In 2006, I got a DWI from taking the sheriff's deputy husband home. Okay. I had a couple shots, ended up getting a DWI in 2006. That was the first thing that I ever had gotten in trouble. And then all of a sudden, they were putting me in treatment. I'm like, why am I going to treatment? Well, because your son said you're using drugs. I'm like, well, why didn't my son come if he thinks I'm using drugs? Why am I being thrown into treatment? No charges, no nothing. I mean, that is so nefarious. Now, if that ain't nefarious, let me tell you, your own police department that you've known for years, that know you, it's just crazy. I just cannot believe the things that people will do to defame somebody, to try to get them locked up, discredit you, slander you, make false police reports, and then flash a badge around to people. Well, of course, people are going to believe an officer of the law, correct? So now it's been 2025 now. Since I've realized it. Write this down. They're doing everything. Look up here. That's your daughter. Look down here. That's Carla. Look over here to the left. Look up here. Go 50. Don't go over 50. Slow down. Speed up. I mean, it was bizarre. And then once all this BCI or whatever it may be, now it's all AI. Now it's all AI, repetitive screaming all the time of what they sound like my family's voices. And because I'm isolated from everybody, nobody wants to talk to me except for my Daughters of the King, my church, my few friends that I have. County, I know that. I really deep down feel that in my gut. The orders of protections, the ticket in the mail for a violation, getting thrown in jail for 3 days, getting thrown in jail for running out of gas. This was right after my divorce happened. I ran out of gas. I got thrown in jail. Oh, let's just go to the hospital. That's when they put the oximeter on my finger and said, close your eyes. It's just, and I have all the paperwork. I got brought in like it was a 5150 when I went in on my own recognizance because I was super dizzy because I was being bombarded with radio frequencies driving in my car in 2019 and ran out of gas. You know, I told you I was driving around in Circle Pines because they told me to go home, go to Centennial High School. They tried to drive me so mad. But you can't drive a person that mad that knows they're not crazy. This is being done to you intentionally. Then I started researching and homeless and had a room for 4 years with a friend. And so I basically just had a bedroom. And then I left there and now I have my own home. Nice place, nice yard, own my own car, got a good job, you know, for the last, yeah. So they didn't win. And they're still doing this to me. I get bombarded. Like I'll be laying in bed like today I was. They almost knock you out. I feel like it's almost hypnotic. Like I'll be laying there and I just all of a sudden I'm like wide awake and I sit up for a little bit in my bed. I'm like, oh, my hip hurts so bad. I gotta lay down for a little bit more. And I'm like, within seconds, I wake up. I'm like, oh my gosh, an hour went by. Huh? They did it again. And they induce dreams. I have the D2K too. But I really believe a lot of this is our judicial system. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to put any allegations because you don't want to allege at some, you know, I just want to help. I just want to educate people. I just want people to know that this is really happening and we need to do something about it, whether it's getting doctors on boards or therapists or psychologists on boards to help people. Like there's the Bride Ministry. They do coaching. I've been in touch with them. It's basically $100 to $200 for an hour. They are coaches. They are chosen. It's a whole thing. One of the people at my church told me about this. She's the one that turned me onto this. They help people that have had satanic ritual abuse and mind control, government mind control. It's really hard to get in with them. They're like 6 months out to be able to even have a coaching session with them. Hi, 1666. Hi, TJ, I'll call you. I just, you know, that this thing came up on Facebook. Can your story turn into a movie? And I actually called them back. I texted them and I've emailed, I sent them. I said, yeah. I said, I have a story you might want to turn into a movie. There's probably quite a bit of us out there that have stories that you could put into a series. You know, I have character witnesses. Well, my divorce papers from 2019 state that I was hearing voices through the walls. Now, that is the number one sign of what people consider V2K when they don't know what it is, right? That's a legal document. That is a contract signed by a judge stating that I was hearing voices from the wall. These kids 24/7 never stops. They're killing the dogs. They kill your pets through radio frequencies. Okay? I had an electrician come out to my house. I have the receipt from that electrician coming to my home where I lived before I left, before I was divorced, to check my outlets because I felt like I was being electrocuted. It was so horrible. And I have that receipt from the electrician. Yes. He came out with an EMF detector and checked all my outlets in my house. Now, back then, they were trying to make me look crazy, but guess what? I'm still standing. It is August of 2025, and I'm still talking about this. You know, I'm doing what I need to do. I've had all my x-rays. I've had a panoramic view of my jaw done on Monday. I'm going down for oral surgery to get the bottom of my teeth removed because I have to have a dental clearance for my surgery on my right hip. So I'm just getting them all out. well, I have two implants in my TMJ, one on my right and one on my left. The one on my right, you can see where it was injected. I've shown my friends. There, it looks like it exploded or something. I have a big black mark, like a black and blue mark that I've had for years, in between my TMJ, behind where my molar that was taken out when I was 17, so 40 years ago. It's just evidence to back up my story. It's just evidence to back up this is nefarious. This is really going on. I mean, that's crucial. It may not be like, wow, but at least it's something. And like I said, this is happening all around the world. I've been to both of the counties. The county that I used to live in, that I was thrown in jail, I begged them and pleaded with them, and they all knew me. I mean, one of the bailiffs there knows, and we have the same birthday. I mean, she took care of my son when my daycare was on vacation. I mean, and I pleaded and begged, and they all knew me. I sat there and I was just devastated and just so scared. Like, people that have known you, that you worked with every day for 8 hours a day in a hospital, that were like your family. And then all of a sudden you come in and you are like sober, but you're being destroyed by RF frequencies from your whatever. And they treat you as a 5150. I'm like going, wait a minute. It's just corrupt and nefarious and malicious, and it's murder. I went to work every single day being tormented, being attacked. We need to wake up, you guys. We need to realize that, and like I said, a lot of people are like, I want my money, or I want it. No, no, no. If that's what you want, if that's what you think, that's great. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the exposure. I want people, and I want to make myself healthier, and I don't know how I can do that besides getting these implants taken out. That's the only thing we can do, is expose this. I know we can write our senators. I know we can write our governors. I know we can go seriously, but you don't understand. Sometimes it's better to start with the little guys and make your way up to the top. And that's journalists, your local paper, TV, your news stations, your radio stations. If, like with me, I have a little more ground to stand on, I do believe. Amazing. God bless you. I tried so hard to get a hold of Dr. Robert Duncan. Thank you. Thank you, Edward Snowden. Thank you, James Martinez. Thank you, David A. Thank you, Roy Eukips. There's a lot of people to thank. But now I feel, with having an RF scan, as long as I cover up my frequencies, because I don't want anybody to know my frequencies, that's my business, and bring them to the radio station and say, excuse me, but can you please explain this to me? You're a radio station, right? So you have radio frequencies, right? How does this happen? Do you know anything about this? And just, that's it. Deb K, she lives here in Minnesota too, and I really like to visit her, but she's very busy. But, certain people have different targeting. I don't have street theater. And if I do, I wouldn't really notice it, because I don't pay attention to that. I don't pay attention to colors. I don't pay attention to cars. I don't pay attention, because I really don't care. I mean, I really don't. It's not that I don't care. Don't get me wrong. I just don't make it I don't sensitize myself to that. I just go about my day, and I just do what I need to do. And, now I sit at home a lot, and I'm doing this wicked puzzle. I've done a lot of thinking. And in reality, I cry every day. My life has been turned upside down, right side up, upside down, right side up, upside down, right side up. But I'm a survivor. And I will not consent to any more of this. I'm not blaming anybody because you know what? There's a lot of people involved, I think. You know, when your life is shattered, when you file for a divorce, you've been not such a nice person either. I was just as verbally abusive as my son and my ex-husband. We're all to blame. It isn't just one person. It's all of us, right? And that's what I kept on trying to say. But I was verbally abused, financially abused. And by Voice to Skull, when that took over along with the frequency torment, who do we have to go to talk to help us? Are there any therapists? Like I said, there's Bride Ministries, but they're so hard to get into. There's really not that many people you can go talk to. You know, I did, though, talk about it in 2018, 2019. I was in therapy because of my divorce. I was really having a tough time coping with being taken away from my 17-year-old son that never stated I ever hit him once. Never a police report, never nothing. Not a bit. No police can, I mean, it's just bizarre. And I talked to them and I told them, because it's confidential, and I told them some things about MK Ultra and all this. And this was before I was not as educated, or whatever you want to call it. But something's got to happen. I know we're trying to do this. I know Targeted Justice is trying to do this. I know that, you know, Jesse Beltran, his company, Mike, and I know everybody's trying to really help. But the problem is there's only a few people and there's thousands of us that we can talk to. They're so busy. But all I know is I just leave it in God's hands. It's up to God, right? And I talk to God about it. I pray about it all the time. And I'm like, what do you want me to do next? What's next? And in one prayer he answered, I got a messenger from Craig LaForest about my Nexus Cosmic Clarity Connections. God answered my prayer, like, really? And on a plane I was. My hip surgery, so now I'm disability. I'm really bored. I'm on disability and waiting for my hip surgery at Mayo Clinic, one of the best hospitals in the world. I'm very grateful through my company. And that's not till November, December, like I said. So I'm grateful for that because I've been in pain for a couple of years and it's been bone to bone, but now it's really bad. So I'm thankful for that now I'm having that done. I'm having my teeth fixed. And now my next step is, like I said, I'm hitting the little guys. I'm going to try to get the little guys. You know, I know people here in the community that are on the board. I mean, I'm just going to start hitting the little guys. Local papers, local radio stations. You know, little radio stations. It can be, you know, like your 98.1 or your little country Christian station, or, you know, I mean, I went to the Rural Musical Festival last Friday. It's a Christian rock concert that's 3 days long over by Isle, Minnesota, here by Blake Blacks. There was some guy in a fish house, ice fish house, and I can't remember what radio station he was, but I do have a flyer. You know, I just like to call them up. and just try to learn, what are these radio frequencies? How are they being emitted? How do you find out where they're emitted from? There's got to be, it's the FCC, right? That's what I've been told. So, all you got to do is educate yourself. Start with the little people. Your family and friends, my family and friends, they think I'm nuts. They don't even talk to me. My own children don't even call me. I was a really good mom. Yeah, I made mistakes. We all do. No one's perfect. But man, let me tell you, I kept a clean house. I worked a job. I took my kids everywhere they needed to go. I helped my daughter, my son, his friends. I was like mom to everybody. Always taking everybody's kids and watching them at the pool when I had the day off and they had to work. I'd take the kids to the local pool. 4 or 5 of them sometimes. Traveling baseball. I'd take all the boys. I'd travel, be the mom that was bringing the kids to their games all the time. Where were all these other parents? And then I'm the one that's being told that I'm a bad parent. That's why, people, it's heartbreaking, and I don't want to try to get myself wound up in the, oh, woe is me, because it's not about woe is me, but boy, does it hurt. Back then, it really hurt. And I still cry every day that somebody would actually do this to somebody just because they don't like them, or lie about them because they're a public figure or a peace officer figure with a badge or a fake badge, defaming your name, false allegations, thrown in jail for no reason. When I had my stroke back in 2019, and I have the CT scan on it, I went to the local urgent care ER here in my county that I live in now. I had to wait. I was transported to Abbott by a local ambulance service. When I got into that, and I was just kind of slight weakness. I mean, they were calling it like typical. I didn't meet I wasn't like a massive stroke, but I had very weakness on my right side. So they transferred me to the level 2, level 1 hospital in the cities here. And when I got in the ambulance, of course, it was a BLS transfer. Okay, in a BLS transfer, you don't have the authority to knock someone out. They sedated me. The minute I got in that ambulance, the guy put something in my V, and I was knocked out. I mean, knocked out cold. And then I woke up to being wheeled down the hall at the hospital. All of the incidences per se, like, you really have to be careful on like, I'm kind of rambling on, but that's because I have so much in my story. I'm not saying anybody else doesn't, but I talk a lot, ramble a lot, and sometimes I can't keep on track. Sometimes I'm pretty good on keeping track of my story and a really good speaker. But like I said, this is an improv. I didn't plan on coming on here. We are in a new world order. I mean, this is insane. It's just totally insane. And the sad thing is when I live in a small community of like 1,800 people, I like that. I used to live in the cities. I can't stand it. Like 5 lanes, people swearing, smashing, driving around, potholes everywhere, smoke, it stinks. There's so much crime. But think about it. I live in a little town of 1,800 people, and I'm a targeted person that's being experimented on, or for nefarious purposes, or my body have been biomedically hacked. Yeah, that's a thing that I've learned in the last week. Something about they can hack your biomedical implants. Imagine that. The stuff that has happened in this world is just crazy. Come, Jesus, come. That's all I got to say, because I cannot wait to go home. But until then, I'm going to keep trying to educate. I'm going to try to keep you guys updated. Who's ever followed me, thank you for your support. I miss my kids. I miss my dad. It's really sad when I'm a very caring and very humble and kind person.
I'm very animated. I'm fun. I'm very outdoorsy. I work hard. And then all of a sudden, all my friends just stopped talking to me. And I'm going, what's going on? But nobody will sit down and talk to me about it. I mailed 50 letters to all my friends with target adjusted flyers about the V2K flyer, also along with Stop Satellite Terrorism flyer, and then Sharon's Poets Calling All Hearts about us being radio, all this stuff. It's very self-explanatory. I have with a letter about who I was, to whom it may concern, to my family. You've all known me. Some of you know me. Some of you, they've watched this. They've seen my flight or flight desperation to figure out what was going on. They've seen my crazy moments. They've heard crazy stories about me. But not one of them came to me and said or asked, hey, are you okay? Not one. Not one single person. You know, my best man in my wedding, 30 years old, very healthy. Well, I wasn't home that night. Died on my living room floor, and my husband and my son found him dead, laying on his face on our living room floor. An autopsy said, massive heart attack. That's very concerning when you know what's going on with this targeting and this experiment and these radio frequencies and stuff like that. It's very disturbing. I've tried to reach out to them, but, you know, that's for them to decide. I've done my part and reached out to them, so that's for them to decide. I've learned that you need to stay calm. I've had a lot of holograms is a big one for me. Yeah. Say hello to Brazil. Hi, Brazil. You know, I kind of get upset and cry a little bit because it is just, I mean, I'm crying for all of us. You know, I just can't believe that this can go on. I can't believe that this, I just can't. Australia, all the whole world. You know, I'm very thankful that God answered my prayers and I went and had an RF scan done. Because a lot of people are stating that you don't need any type of nanotech or implants, which is nanotech now too. Now it's nanotech too. There's, you know, nano dust. I mean, it's true. It's, you know, that you don't need any type of implants for this to happen to you. I'm having trouble believing that. I'm sure it's possible because we're like 700 years in advance in technology. I'm surprised, you know, there's probably invisible planets around. I know that sounds crazy, but I wouldn't doubt it. But, you know, and I tell you, this is worse than Satan. I mean, it is Satan, but it is so worse than Satan. It's so demonic. I've had a couple of people, one of them, Reverend and his wife, she passed away this 7 months ago. They lived down in south in the summer, and then they come up here, or south in the winter, and then they called God's ER. It's an actual ER where people come in, they pray. They've been to my house multiple times, and I've said prayers. I have forgave everybody. I forgave my ex-husband. I have forgiven anybody that I think that would be trying to harm me. We must have been praying for 4 hours, the same prayer over and over, and you had to use this person's name, and you had to say this huge thing, and I still have it. And I tried doing that, and have my church praying, and other people in other prayer chains of other ministries praying for me, and I have anxiety really bad, so I have to be really cautious to how much I retain or how much I try to reach out there and do in a day. But now I don't know, but when I was on this podcast call last week with Jesse Beltran and my Nexus or whatever, and I had asked a question because I had asked Jesse, I said, and he knows me, of course, and I said, can you tell from the radio frequencies what time frame your implants were placed? Unfortunately, that answer was no, you cannot. So that answered one question. The other question I had was, if you were a minor child and your parents had done this to you, now remember I was born in 68, I tried to reach out, but they're so busy, and I'm just going to wait. I'm not going nowhere. It's been many, many years that I've been dealing with this, but I really would like to know how unique and why he said that it was unique, that I'm a unique situation. I just wish we could be free. So it's been 52 minutes, and I think I'm going to get going. Like I said, this was an improv, but I was just trying to reach out and say, hey guys, I care about y'all. Remember to pray. Put it in God's hands. And I mean, I know we have to do things ourselves, but just please remember, if you're new to this, please, you have to be very careful. Don't go anywhere alone. If you're being stalked on foot, do not go anywhere alone. Get a body cam. They're cheap. I mean, seriously, they kill people. They kidnap people. So you guys have a good day.